Republicans just passed Donald Trump's so-called big beautiful bill, which, spoiler alert, is neither big nor beautiful unless you're a billionaire. This isn't governing, it's looting in a giant red hat. The GOP sold us out and gave a giant middle finger to nearly 14 million men, women, and children, all so their billionaire donors could keep swimming in tax breaks.
For my Republican colleagues who are sure what is in and not in this bill, in this process that has been this rushed, when you wake up in the morning, you will realize that you voted to defund Planned Parenthood and to take away health care from 13.7 million Americans. And when this country wakes up in the morning, there will be consequences to pay for this.
AOC lays it out. This bill guts Medicaid, slashes essential benefits, and funnels even more wealth to the top, while telling us, the American people, to be grateful for the privilege to even exist in Trump's America.
So buckle up, America, and put your seat in the upright position, because with the passage of this bill, the golden age of America is ready for takeoff.
This isn't a golden age, it's a gilded age. And this bill doesn't make America great, it's a bill that makes poor people even poorer and rich people even richer. Basically, it's trickle-down economics with a facelift and a BBL for billionaires. Because remember, during the campaign, Trump promised billionaires that he would look out for them, not you and me. Just them.
Because you're all people that have a lot of money. I know 20 of you, and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you tax cuts. We're going to pay off our debt. We're going to do all of the things that we have.
Now, Republicans want you to think they did a good thing. For you.
The One Big Beautiful Bill also helps get our fiscal house in order by carrying out the largest deficit reduction in nearly 30 years with $1.6 trillion in mandatory savings.
Sure, Jan.
And to justify gutting Medicaid, they've been busy peddling this fantasy that the beneficiaries are just lazy, unemployed young men who play video games in their mom's basement.
If they would just get a job, they could keep their Medicaid.
Returning work requirements. So, for example, you don't have able-bodied young men on a program that's designed for single mothers and the elderly and disabled. You save a lot of money, and you return the dignity of work to young men who need to be out working instead of playing video games all day.
The able-bodied person I'm talking about is the 25-year-old who's sitting on his couch playing Xbox.
And so you think there's just a ton of those?
That's the person I feel like should.
If somebody's able-bodied and they can go get a job and they're living in their mom's basement playing video games, I'm sorry, you got to go get a job. This program was designed for the truly needy, the disabled people.
Most of them are what's called the expansion population. So again, they are able-bodied, healthy people. They are not traditional Medicaid, which is there for the disabled, the elderly, pregnant women, children. And again, most Americans believe, look, we need that safety net, but you don't have it for an able-bodied young person, you know, living in their parents' basement who just decides they don't want to work.
So we're taking it away from is the able-bodied adult with no children who refuses to work.
And we're not talking about people who are disabled. We're talking about able-bodied recipients of Medicaid. That folks who are sitting around, you know, if you're 33 years old and you're living in your parents' basement, perhaps you should, if you're receiving Medicaid benefits, if you're down there playing video games, maybe you should try and go out and get a job if the federal government is going to help pay for some of your health care. That's not an unreasonable thing. Yeah, the taxpayers, that's right.
That's what Medicaid is for, not for 29-year-old males sitting on their couches playing video games. We're going to find those guys and we're going to send them back to work. That's what everybody supports. That's what the Republicans are for. And by the way, we find dignity in our work. That's going to be good for everybody.
And here's the part they don't want you to know. Most people on Medicaid are working, and those who aren't, they're caregivers, disabled, students, or retired. Not exactly the freeloading gamer army that Republicans keep ranting about. Republicans looked their voters dead in the eye, promised not to cut Medicaid, Medicare, or SNAP, and then turned right around and looted their pockets to feed the 1%.
Can you guarantee that your voters who supported the election, particularly working class voters, will not lose health insurance under this bill?
Oh, they won't lose health insurance. Not only that, remember, I'm cutting drug prices by 85%. And right now, I'm saving it. I'm saving the whole thing because I did something that nobody was willing to do. Other countries pay a tiny fraction what we do. And I instituted favored nations. We're now going to pay the lowest in the world. We're going to be the equivalent of the lowest country in the world.
That was Trump's promise 2 days before the vote. But Here we are, nearly 14 million people about to get kicked off of Medicaid, while billionaires walk away with bigger tax cuts than ever. This isn't reform, this is straight up economic pickpocketing. If Trump's health plan was everyone loses, then yeah, mission accomplished. And if you haven't figured it out by now, whatever Trump says, the opposite is usually true.
If you're in the top 20% of Americans, you're going to get roughly a 3.7% increase in your after-tax income, really all from these tax cuts. But if you go all the way to the bottom and everything in between essentially leads you to the bottom, if you're in the bottom 20%, you actually lose $800. Why do you lose $800? You get a very small tax cut, and you get a very large cut in Medicaid and these other benefits that we were just talking about that affects the 20% disproportionately. So this is a highly regressive bill that essentially favors the wealthy, doesn't do much for the middle class, and hurts the poor. And then if you want to see this in stark comparison, if we simply eliminated the tax cuts for people making over $500,000 a year, which is what roughly what President Biden was proposing, it would save $1.1 trillion. That happens to be just slightly more than the Medicaid cuts and the food stamps, or SNAP cuts, if you will, put together. So if we simply eliminated these tax cuts, we could eliminate these budget cuts on these poor people and end up, from a budget point of view, in the same place.
Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill might be the ugliest and most destructive piece of legislation in modern history. And right before the vote, instead of looking out for you or me, Republicans were busy slapping Trump's name on everything like it's a failed casino. Because in a truly bizarre cult-like moment, Republicans added a provision to rename the MAGA account for babies, yes, that's a real thing, to the Trump account.
Okay, well, what does it mean to strike MAGA and insert Trump? I mean, what's that about in the manager's amendment?
I can answer that question, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I mean, this is why you don't, hand something like this to people and then rush into a markup. But anyways, if people could explain some of this stuff, that would be helpful.
All of that language was in the original bill, and they were creating this new trust that you would, for a child born in, I think, 4 or 5 year period. I don't remember now if it was a 4-year period or a 5-year period. You could set up a trust. There was all kinds of rules about the qualifications of the trustee. It had to be a bank, et cetera, et cetera. And the name of the trust originally was going to be the MAGA trust that you set up for the child, and the government was going to put in, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was $1,000 for each child where the family set this up, and they were going to call them MAGA trusts.
And why the name change?
The wisdom was to change that to the Trump trusts.
Oh, hell
no. You're going to name these accounts?
Why?
So the Cory Booker idea, this was Cory Booker's idea. It's his baby bonds. Now, he was willing to call it baby.
Nothing says secure financial future like naming your kid's savings plan after a guy with 6 bankruptcies. If you work in front of a desk like I do, I often find myself discouraged that I spent another day sitting for long periods of time. I seriously thought this would be a lasting problem until I found Uplift Desk. Uplift Desk is at the forefront of ergonomic solutions, promoting better posture and health through adjustable standing desks designed to help you live a healthier lifestyle. Plus, they have all kinds of accessories to keep you moving throughout the day, even if you work for only a few hours at your desk. I love the Bamboo Motion X board. It gets me on my feet and helps boost my energy while improving circulation. Standing while I work gives me the room to move and helps me get the creative juices flowing. Moving throughout the day helps me focus and stay productive. I'm way more alert when I'm using my standing desk, and I have more energy. A 45-degree bend in your neck can result in up to 50 pounds of gravitational force being placed on your neck muscles. The option to move while I work promotes better circulation, which can reduce all types of different health risks and repetitive strains. I love how much customization you can do with the Uplift Desk. With over 200,000 configurations available, you can design your workspace to perfectly match your style and needs, creating an environment that fuels both productivity and creativity. Make this year yours by going to upliftdesk.com/Gabe and use our code Gabe to get 4 free accessories, free day shipping, free returns, and an industry-leading 15-year warranty that covers your entire desk and an extra discount off your entire order. That's upliftdesk.com/Gabe for a special offer, and it's only available at our link. Start 2025 right. Stand, move, thrive with Uplift Desk. And again, instead of helping you or me, Republicans were busy sneaking in a last-minute provision that would not require gun owners to register the purchase of silencers.
This long-standing federal policy should be overturned in the middle of the night, and I'd urge a yes vote on my amendment.
Yes, and
I'll yield to Mr. McGovern.
Mr. Scott.
It's actually not a silencer, it's a suppressor. It doesn't.
I'm sorry, it is still my time. If we look at your manager's amendment, it says that the section is amended by striking any silencer. The
Okay.
whole
Well,
National
then I
Firearms
apologize.
Act,
I don't want to argue with you.
and you can
but-
look up the National Firearms Act. I'm sorry, it's
Okay.
still my time, and I'm yielding to Mr. McGovern.
I would just say, I support.
Oh, never mind then. I thought you wanted to engage in a debate, but that's okay. I'm opposed to it.
I had yielded to him first.
Of course you are.
What are we doing here? Now, almost every Republican voted for Trump's ugly trash bill, but there were 2 Republicans who voted no. One of them was Thomas Massie.
I'd love to stand here and tell the American people, we can cut your taxes and we can increase spending and everything's going to be just fine. But I can't do that because I'm here to deliver a dose of reality. This bill dramatically increases deficits in the near term, but promises our government will be fiscally responsible 5 years from now. Where have we heard that before? How do you bind a future Congress to these promises? This bill is a debt bomb ticking. Congress can do funny math, fantasy math, if it wants, but bond investors don't. And this week, they sent us a message. Moody's downgraded our credit rating, and the bond investors who buy our debt and finance our debt demanded higher interest rates on the 10-year note, the 20-year note, and the 30-year note. What does this mean? Very soon, the government will be paying $16,000 of interest alone per U.S. family. And what are we telling them? Instead of taking care of that problem, we're going to give you a $1,600 tax break. Under the taxing and spending levels in this bill, we're going to rack up, the authors say, $20 trillion of new debt over the next 10 years. I'm telling you, it's closer to $30 trillion of new debt in the next 10 years. Mr. Speaker, we're not rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic tonight. We're putting coal in the boiler and setting a course for the iceberg. If something is beautiful, you don't do it after midnight.
I can't believe that I'm agreeing with Thomas Massie, but he's right. This tax bill is going to balloon our spending and our debt out of control. And when it comes to this bill, Donald Trump only cares about if you fall in line. And if you don't, he'll primary you.
You had 2 Republicans last night that voted against this bill, Congressman Massie and Davidson. Does the president think that they should be primaried?
I believe he does, and I don't think he likes to see grandstanders in Congress. What's the alternative, I would ask those members of Congress? Did they want to see a tax hike? Did they want to see our country go bankrupt? That's the alternative by them trying to vote no, and the president believes the Republican Party needs to be unified, and the vast majority of Republicans clearly are, and are listening to the president. They are trusting in President Trump, as they should, because there's a reason he's sitting in this Oval Office. It's because he's the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party, not just a president for Republicans, but all Americans. The president's approval rating is at an all-time high right now.
Right.
There were other Republicans like Chips Ahoy Roy who previously bitched and moaned about spending and fiscal responsibility, but then turned right around and bowed down to Trump. Other Republicans who warned that they would oppose Trump's bill ended up voting yes because they're spineless cowards.
What about the impact on the deficit? I mean, there's CBO suggests this could be trillions of dollars in the next several years.
That's accurate, and I don't like that one bit, but I don't know what the other option is right now.
Oh, gee, Tim, I don't know. You could have not voted for it, but hey, like I said before, Republicans are spineless cowards. Tim Burchett just admitted that this bill would increase deficits by trillions and then said, I don't like that one bit, but I don't know what the other option is right now.
So where does this go from here? That is the question facing Republicans, because now it passed the House by the narrowest of margins. The United States Senate will have its turn to move ahead. Republican senators have their own ideas. Some of them are concerned about those cuts on Medicaid. Some of them are concerned about how it's dealing with so-called green energy tax credits. It would phase out a lot of those green energy tax credits that were enacted under the Inflation Reduction Act. That has caused actually ample concern from some members who are worried about the impacts in their states and their districts. Look for Republicans to try to change that.
Republicans do not have a moral or ethical fiber in their body. They will fuck over their constituents if it means they can stay in office. And when they are threatened with primaries, they switch gears. I mean, look no further than Nancy Mace. If it isn't clear by now, the GOP doesn't care about their constituents at all. Constituents, might I add, who rely on the very programs that they just gutted. Food assistance for struggling families, Medicaid, as well as housing and rental aid, to name a few. In the end, Trump's big beautiful bill does exactly what it was designed to do: punish the poor and reward the rich. Oh, and also rename baby savings accounts after a guy who once went bankrupt selling steaks. And the next time Republicans say they're fighting for working families, just remember they mean the ones with yachts. Thanks for watching. If you want to support my work on What Was That, the best way is by becoming a paid subscriber at whatwasthat.show. I'm fully independent, so your support helps run this one-person operation. By supporting, you'll get episodes, deep dive breakdowns, and articles you won't find anywhere else. That's whatwasthat.show. Prefer to listen while you're on the go? What Was That is available on all major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, you name it. Until next time, I'm Gabe Sanchez, and this has been What Was That?